Hello everyone, we are going to be making our Alexander Calder inspired freestanding sculptures. So we're going to be using construction paper today to make those happen. If you have something heavier, a tag board, poster board, any colorful bright boards, or even white that you could pattern later, that would be even better. Stronger the paper, the stronger the sculpture. I will have some pictures up as well so you can see what these look like at the end, but for now let's get going. So what you're going to need to make these happen is you are going to need some construction paper, lots of different colors, however many that you want to make, that's how many papers you need. So if you only want to make one, great. If you want to make a few, because they are fun to do, then make sure you have a few different pieces. If you only have scraps, that can work, but bigger full sheets will also be really nice. Now what we need are rectangle shapes. You're also going to need, I forgot to mention, a pair of scissors. You're also going to need a pencil, and you're going to need something to draw with. I'm going to be using Mr. Sketch markers, but you can use color pencils, crayons, whatever you like, even paint. So here is how we get started. We first need to get some rectangles here. Now we could use this huge sheet and just kind of go from there, but this is not quite a skinny enough rectangle to make sort of this nice long skinny sculpture that we're trying to make. So instead, I'm going to ask that you fold that paper in half. So you can fold it in half this long ways. My son drew on the back of this, but he doesn't want it anymore, so I'm just going to use this paper. You can fold it in half long ways this way. This is, we often say, it's the hot dog way because it's long and skinny like a hot dog. So I'm going to fold on that line, and I'm going to cut right on that line to get myself two skinny pieces. They could be even smaller. Let's say you have a piece that's maybe this size. You could take it, fold it in half again, crease it, and cut it in half right on that line, and you'll end up with a couple really skinny pieces. So wait right here, I'm going to be cutting it and I'll be back in a flat. Okay, so you can see I cut all my paper, so I have a nice long skinny rectangle. So that's what we want in order to make this sculpture look really cool and stand up well on its own. So the first step is we have to fold whatever sculptures you're going to be doing. I think I'll stick with the blue and the green one here just because the pink one has something drawn on it. And I'm going to fold these in half. I'm going to go this way. So the short end is meeting the other short end. And if you didn't cut it perfectly straight, like it looks like mine is a little bit off, you could always trim it at this time. So while it's folded in half, you can take your scissors and trim it to fix it so it's a little bit more straight, or you can just not worry about it and leave it the way it is and just say, ah, well, wasn't perfect, but I did the best I could. But I'm going to trim mine a little bit so they fit a little bit nicer because I must have cut that a little bit off. I'm going to do the same with the green one. Now, while it's still folded in half, what you're going to do is the side where the crease is, so this folded part is called the crease, all right there. I'm going to draw a line. It doesn't matter how big or skinny it is, but I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to do that for both of these because I want to tell myself to not go past that line. I want to make sure I don't do any cutting on that side. So that line is my note to say, don't go over there. So now from there, I'm going to draw a bunch of lines coming out of here. And when they come out, they're going to go out and then down. So let me show you with this green one, because I think it'll be nice and easy to see. I'm going to show you how I made something similar to this green one first, and then we'll do something fancy with the blue one. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to go out and down. It's like a little curve. And then I'm going to give it some space, go out and down. I want to make sure these lines never touch each other and that they're always going out and down. So they're starting at the line, they're going out horizontal, and then they go down vertical. You can have them be straight pointed corners or they can be curved at the end. It's up to you how you want that to look. And maybe I want this last one to be curved too, so I'm going to kind of like draw a little curve there. Okay, so that's how I want this one to be. All right. Now I'm going to do something a little bit fancy and different. So instead of just straight lines that are kind of curved, I'm going to do the same thing where the first one is really short and small and it gets bigger as it gets further out. But this time I'm going to do something funky. I might do some like wavy lines. So all my lines are going to be wavy. Now keep in mind, you're going to have to cut on these lines. So if this looks like this kind of line looks hard to do, you might not want to do this kind of line. You might want to do a line more like this or a straight line, because those are going to be easier to do. Once you've drawn your lines, you're actually going to cut on those lines, and you're going to cut them starting at the bottom, keeping it folded in half. See how it's still folded in half? I'm going to cut on the line, and I'm going to stop when I hit where it ends right there. I'm not going to cut all the way off, because then my pieces will fall apart. So I'm going to finish cutting the green one, and then I'm also going to cut the blue one afterwards. But I'm going to try to do this as fast as possible, and I'm going to try really hard to hold them together so that they don't fall apart. And this I'm just cutting off the end because I want this outside one to be curvy too. So you can see how it looks when it's done. If I open it up, I have two sides that are curved exactly and cut out exactly the same way. Now, if you don't like these pencil marks after you've cut it, you can always erase them afterwards. You can erase just the line, or you can try to erase as many of these other lines as you can. Let me cut out this blue one for you, and then we'll be right back and talk about pattern. All right, so this one's cut out also, and you can see I used some wavy lines so that it would look a little fun and different. Now, once you've cut everything and everything is erased the way you want it, you're going to fold them open so they're flat like this. You can see both sides. Okay, so in this one I made the top very wavy and curly. This one's just kind of a normal curve. Now is when we're going to start adding our patterns. Okay, so let's do some patterns. Patterns can be anything that you want them to be. They can be stripes, zigzags, polka dots, whatever you want. Just make sure whatever you do on one side, you're going to copy on the other side. So in this example, I did a bunch of diagonal lines, and then the top one I decided to do polka dots, and I did that on both sides. This one I just did polka dots everywhere. So you can decide how you want this to be on yours, depending on what you think might look kind of cool or fun or interesting or different. So you can decide how you want to do this. I'm going to take a red marker, and I'm going to make a bunch of hearts. Some are going to be filled in, some are going to be empty. I think that'll look kind of fun and different and interesting, and I'm going to do that all over so that every single one of these looks the same on the front and on the back, however I want to do it. And I'll have to think of a cool pattern for the green, so I'm going to do this for you, and I'll be right back so you can see it all finished. Okay, here are my two patterned pieces of paper that are about to be turned into sculptures. This one, like I showed you, I was doing hearts, some colored in, some not. For this one, I decided to do 2 stripes in a row, then a polka dot. 2 stripes in a row, polka dot. 2 stripes in a row, polka dot. That creates a pattern. So now I'm about to bend, this is my last step, I'm going to bend this into a standing sculpture. And when we bend it, we're going to bend it in a pattern also. So let me show you how we're going to do it. I'll start with the blue one. You're going to take the first leg. My son calls these little spiders when he sees them standing up. The first leg, I'm going to bend backwards and crease it, okay? So it's bent backwards. The second one, I'm going to bend forwards. Then the next one I'm going to bend, what do you think? Backwards. And then the bottom one, forwards. Okay, so I have a backward, forward, bend. Now I'm going to do the other side, and I'm going to do the other side opposite. So if this top one got bent backwards, I'm not going to bend this one backwards also. I'm going to bend this forwards. So I'm doing the opposite. So the top one's forward, the second one is backward, the front one, the third one is forward, the last one is backward. Once you have them all bent, then you should be able to put them on the table and stand and move them around so that you can see all the legs, and you can see them bent at different angles. You might need to bend them a little bit and fix them so that it'll stand the way you want it, but it should stand pretty well. I'm going to do the same to the green one, then show you what they look like standing up. Okay guys, here they are standing up. We have the pink one I'd made before, we have the green one I made before, and we have our new ones. We have our blue one, it's freestanding, and our new little green spider leg friend, also freestanding. They are so much fun to make. They are so much fun to make a bunch of that you can display in your house somewhere. But it's nice because they also lay flat. You can even fold them in half and lay them flat to store them when they're not on display, so they don't take up a much space. Happy art making! Hope you had fun doing this with me.